Hi, I'll start the show with a song. New you. The song's being offered as a connection to the real universes, to real guides, universal guides. Today, I'm attempting to share a warning for anyone that the real guides present this to, that if you don't pay attention now and check out the new presentation and the projects that are in development and happening that you can become involved with, have a real purpose in life, in your life. I'll read a little bit of the Adventurous series by Dwayne the Great Rider. I'll start with the back cover of New Book 4, The Adventures of Rebazar Tars, so that you can get a little idea of what the new books are presenting, what Dwayne's presenting through the new books. Here is a great adventure of love and danger that is real. The humans of the earth do not really know their gods, but in this book they will. Rebazar Tars takes Dwayne on another quest to save a captured soul from their fate with the Callum god. This is real and becomes the fate of all those who stay lost. Learn the secrets of life and death and real freedom now. So I'll open the book up and read a little bit so that you can get an idea about what's being presented. The deadly force field. The Callum had done a tremendous job on all the scenery here because it just kept getting better and better. From where RT and I first came from into this realm, there was such a great difference with where we were now. This level is very enchanting and is so much better than anything on the earth. For me, I was on a high just being with everything. Earth is the lowest form of illusion, and there are wonderful places there. But once a person is here, they would never want to return to Earth. The seduction of this place makes you forget about the journey into the real universes for those who have never been. Enjoying this place is fine for me because of what I am here for. But I would not surrender my will to this place as the belief system followers of Earth have done. Then Shar motioned for us to stop and said, there is a force field here that is hidden amongst the vegetation. One of many, and it is similar to the River of Death. It surrounds the entire area of the Callum Kingdom. We have the power here to fly over it, but we must be fast because we can easily be spotted by the space-time masqueraders, who will lock us in their time frames where we will be frozen in time like the people of Earth. She mentioned the Earth. I never said anything about it. I wonder how much she really knows. Follow me, she said as she leaped in the air and flew up about 100 feet. RT and I followed. She was right. It is easy to fly here, so why are we walking all the time? As I saw Shar go up to a point and then start to come back down while I was still flying up with RT, in the distance there were two small craft approaching. The Deceptors, she yelled, hurry and get out of sight. But it was too late. They already saw us and started firing their laser beams. One of them grazed my left arm and smoldered a small hole in the shirt I was wearing. Then RT put his hands and actually reflected the rays and sent them back to the two ships, and they quickly exploded and immediately totally disappeared. Wow, that was cool, sir, I said, feeling better about our situation. Just like Steven Seagal, always use your opponent's strength against them in situations like this. You always have the right to defend yourself. Besides, their intent was for their God, and so they will be reborn in some bad situation on a desolate planet in the physical realm. I am sure those two will be missed. So we must get to another area and hide for a while, said RT. Now I realize why we were always walking. There is just too much going on in the air all the time around here. I know of a good place for now that the lunatic will not spot us. It said Shar as she led the way through the dense vegetation. Rebazar stayed right behind her as Shar moved very fast through the brush. It was still hard for me to fathom all the beautiful lushness compared to the other parts of this world we had been in. As we swiftly moved along, I saw big butterflies all over the place, along with bigger than normal honeybees. I really love the butterflies. They remind me of Tinkerbell. On Earth, the cruel rulers have destroyed a lot of the bee population, along with the butterflies with their deceitful toxic spraying and microwaves. The warmongers want to eliminate a lot of the population of the Earth. So they are using all forms of lethal pesticides that affect everything, including the food we eat. I am glad that I do not like to golf, because the golf courses are very heavily sprayed to keep the grass artificially green without people knowing it, which is why golfers are having certain health problems. In our modern times, when people are sick, they go right to their doctors that have been taught to prescribe mainly worthless drugs to people to keep them subject to more disease. With the new presentation I am doing, I will teach people how they can heal themselves and work with the real guides who will help in an all-natural way. There are so many natural ways to heal and that work more permanently. But time is of the essence, as the dark forces want the earth under the giant eye, just like in The Lord of the Rings. Look over there, said Shar as she pointed. There is the cave that we can stay in and rest a while until the sun sets. It looked like a really good place and well hidden among the thick greenery of all the surroundings. We were soon there and inside. Rebazar wanted us to go in first as he stood outside and watched to make sure we were not followed. Dwayne, you and Shar stay here and I will be back after dark. I'm going to take a long look around, he said as he quickly vanished. Shar, is there anything to eat around here? I asked. Yes. Right around the side of this cave there are some fruit trees that have what you know as bananas and apples, she said as she led the way. She kept referring to what I already know. I thought. We went outside and moved through the leafy brush, and then I saw the banana trees. They were really big trees that were loaded with bananas. And right next to them were the apple trees. One thing about the fruit here, there were no pesticides like on Earth. The big butterflies and bees were combing the flowery buds and making cute little noises. This fruit is marvelous, Shar. There are no harmful toxins on this fruit, I said as I was eating a great tasting banana. Yes, Dwayne, the pesticides that are found on your planet was purposely put there by the deceptors because they want to keep people sick and submissive to the Callum God. Even Callum himself wants things to be as clean and pure as possible where he lives. But he doesn't care about the physical level and all the destruction that goes on there, she said as she picked the fruit. How do you know that I am from Earth, Shar? I asked as I collected as much fruit as I could. Come back inside the cave and I will tell you, Dwayne, she said as she led the way back. Shar tells all. We put aside all the fruit and then sat on the soft green floor inside the cave. Dwayne, I have actually known about you for a long time and Rebazar also. I think what I have to tell you will be of great interest. When I was on the earth with my parents, they were very heavily into the belief system businesses that the Callum God has perpetuated throughout the physical, astral, and mental realms. When I was young, I was not aware of what was really behind the religious beliefs of those that promoted such things to the masses. I simply went along with everything I was shown and told. I was brought up in a particular faith like so many other people that really do not know how the politics of the religious orders really work and what they are doing to mislead people and take all they have. You already know about the marketing ploys of all the systems on the earth because you are a risk-taker and not afraid to explore. During my lifetime on earth, I was not aware of a lot of the outside world except the existing faiths that I was constantly made to study. My heart was very much into a true love for what is termed God, but I knew there was more than what I was being shown. Because my parents were very devout with their religious beliefs, even to the point of something very dark, I eventually found out about that was also a part of what they were doing. My parents were wealthy and had many very influential friends, even in the governments around the world. They knew how the money systems worked from the hidden side instead of only what the public thinks it knows or is shown. My parents knew of the political arena and those who were the primary controllers and rulers for the masses and what would be decided for everyone whether they liked it or not. Those that agreed were welcomed and those that did not were silently never seen again. My parents were wonderful and loving people, and they did not like what the major religions of the world were doing and how they constantly created the wars and bloodshed and deceit for the public to be misled by, but at the same time they helped promote what was always taking place. My parents tried to provide a beneficial influence to the heads of the governmental control to stop the lies and misrepresentations that were constantly taking place. But for the most part, none would listen, because almost all the politicians were so corruptly involved and on the take. So basically everyone was afraid to change anything from what it had always been. While I was growing up and living with them, I was starting to have some very interesting dream experiences that I really knew nothing about. I was being told certain things that related to my physical life. But again, I had nothing to go by, and so I was having a hard time with my mind and what I had been taught to understand about the knowledge I was being given. Like most people, I thought it was God talking to me, because I did read the religious doctrines, and they talked about God talking to man through dreams that had been interpreted in the past, but no one I spoke with knew anything about dreams and what they meant in my present life. I kept searching for answers, because I knew there was more. While my parents were alive, they kept me very involved with what they were doing, plus all the schools they had me go to. I had no real social life because they kept a firm hand on me and wanted me to be educated a certain way. They did not want me to see any boys when I was young or men as I got older. I did have a secret love for a while, but when my parents found out, they had someone come around and have a real talk with him. Well, that ended that. I know they did not have him killed, but they made sure that he never came around again. If I wasn't in school, I was with them at some political religious convention or gathering promoting what the churches of the earth wanted. Complete cooperative mind control. The socially deceptive mind control implementations are what I eventually discovered they were doing to people. Basically, all the private meetings that I went to with my parents were about how to better control the working class and the followers of their faith. Usually, there were many top political and religious personalities that headed these meetings, and they would share their stories about how they kept people in line and kept them working as a support to further their own political causes, which is usually something beneficial for the controllers and destructive for their supporters. To these people that love their power roles, a person's life means nothing. Printing money and stealing gold from others has value to them, but not a human life. Even when they did provide some kind of benefit for the public, they would make sure only they and their political friends would come out ahead. These diabolic followers of the Callum God also have secret meetings that involve religious blood cult sacrifices. These people perpetuate the ideas through their made-up ancient doctrines about everyone that is not a believer in their way of doing things as an outcast and a devil worshiper, when in fact it is all a mind control scheme to have people as robots that will work and protect their evil doings. All of this is so obvious, yet people stay with these phony icons that say they are here to help mankind. People stay with all this authoritative absurdity because they have nowhere else to look. Most people want to have a basic life and are not interested in getting something from the next person unless it is to share and exchange freely. And so these misguided vermin take advantage of the average person. The earth people have no idea where the technology on this world of today came from. It came from the deceptors that invented Luna Tech eons ago. It all started back before the planned deception of the Christ man. Years before he appeared, the church was planning a world takeover directed by the Callum God. The Callum made his brother Jot Naranjan act out the part of Jehovah and persuaded people that a Savior was coming that would relieve the burden of all those who believed in the church. The plan was being set up and the church was going to actually create their own magic show for the naive public to believe in. This same scenario had been done so many times before. But the church at that time was losing memberships and followers. So they knew they had to create a miracle to happen to get their supporters back and stabilized. As time went on, they couldn't really figure out what to do. Then one day, the Christ man appeared and started doing some psychic healings among the villages he was visiting. He mainly healed people in one village and then traveled to others. After years of doing these healings, the church finally started paying attention to what he was doing and had the Christ man followed to see what he was really up to. Eventually, these secret agents reported their findings to the congregations of the World Church at that time, and so it was decided that they would use this man as their marketing ploy to promote their continued rulership. These rulers of the church had evil hearts. They knew that the Christ man could not be around if they were to claim his miracles and make up stories about him. So they devised a plan to get rid of him without taking the blame. They wanted to use him and steal the idea of him so that it would look like he was representing the church of those times, which he personally was not at all interested in being a part of them. The misguided followers of religion today are told that the Christ man is behind the church and the different labeled systems that control the bloodshed on earth, that only ignorant and unaware people believe in something so foolish. He was followed and watched for the longest time to make sure most of the population knew about him. One of the things that I did learn from the original secret doctrines of the church was that the Christ man was being taught by very special beings from his youth until he eventually appeared to the public. In the old doctrines, there are vague references to his teachers, and I would assume they were the real universal guides. At some of his gatherings, he would constantly make reference to look within oneself for all the answers needed, and he never mentioned any gods or authorities, which the church later added with their policies to control, to work, and to please the Kalam God. Eventually, it was planned that the Christ man would be eliminated like a common criminal, and so the church ordered the political scene at that time to make up something that sounded good enough to get the man nailed to a cross.